What's going on, YouTube? It's Adam with Retro Repairs, and today we're going to play some Pokemon Red. I'm going to get my trusty Game Boy and let's get this started. Pokemon was awesome. I played it back in the day. You could spend so many hours catching all the Pokemon. Let's turn it on and let's play it. The hell? I can't see anything. Oh yeah, I forgot that the screen on the Game Boy Color sucks. You gotta get it just right. There we go. Yeah, this isn't doing it for me. It's straining my eyes. It just doesn't feel the way it used to feel back in the day. So I'm not gonna play that anymore. But not to worry, there is a solution. We're gonna install the Frontlight mod. I just picked this up. It came in the mail today. I bought it from handheldlegend.com, and what this is, it's actually a little panel that's going to add some light underneath the top glass here. So I'm going to show you how to install this and how to make it work. So in order to install this, obviously we're going to need to open this up. So take it apart, take the batteries out, take the game out. Let's get right down to the console. So this is my old Game Boy Color that I had for years. We're just going to start tearing this guy apart. So you need a tri-wing screwdriver for this. It doesn't come part of most screwdriver sets, so you may need to go out and buy a small tri-wing screwdriver bit. Mine happened to come with my set of security screws that I had, so I'm going to use that, remove the case screws. I believe there are 6. 2 near the top, right there, 2 in the middle, and 2 at the bottom. So now with those screws out, we just separate the casing and lift the back straight up. And we can put that aside. Now, on the inside, there's a couple smaller Phillips screws. There's 3 down here, and I don't think there's any up at the top there, so we need to remove these 3 screws. So with those screws out, we can now begin to start to lift this out. You want to do so very carefully, as there's this ribbon connector at the top still, which connects the screen display on. So we want to gently lift up. There are 2 little plastic gray tabs at the top, one here and one here. We push those up just slightly with your fingernail, just like that, and now it should pull straight out, and we can put the board aside. We're not going to use it right now. So now we have the screen disassembly. Now this you have to kind of work up very gently to get it detached from the rest of the casing. So I actually looked up how to remove the screen from this, and a couple videos I saw show a very interesting method, which I'm not sure how it's going to work or not, but we're just going to try it. All you do, you take the screen and you give it a twist. Not too hard, but just a little twist. Hey, there we go. And the screen should, there we go, it's detaching right out there. So you're just going to lift that up gently and pull it out. And there we have the display for the Game Boy Color. Again, you do want to be careful that you don't pull too hard and crack the display here, but that looks to be okay. So what we're going to do is get this, put this aside and get the parts out. One thing you could do is wipe off the inside of this screen here as well, but we're going to come back to that. So these are the parts that we're working with. This package comes with a resistor. Some installations require the resistor, some don't. My particular installation apparently does not, so I can't really tell you which ones do either way. Anyways, going to open up this package and pull out the front light. So this is what we have here, and how this works, it essentially sits on top of the display and it lights up and gives you better light. There's a protective coating on one side. That side is the one that's going to, there's protective coating on both, but my understanding is the red dot goes to the left, and if yours doesn't have a red dot, the red wire goes onto the left. So now there's a couple of ways to go about installing this. There's the easy method where you just put this in place, put it back in the case, and turn it on. But that doesn't really work terribly well. And the reason for that is there's going to create an air gap between these two. Crap. Don't do that. That's how you break things. There's going to create an air gap between the two, which can cause distortion. So you don't really want to do that. What instead you're going to use is this product called Loca. And what it is basically it's an adhesive that will fill in that air gap, make it so it's a seamless transition. So we're going to get this out, get it set up, and I'm going to show you how to install all of this. Just kind of playing this by ear. Yeah, there we go. So put the plunger in there. We're going to set that aside. So before you do anything, you need to get this, you want to get this foam off. The foam is here to provide a little cushioning, but it also takes up a lot of space, and we're going to be filling up the extra space with the Frontlight. So you can just use your fingers and pick it off. Okay, so we have all the foam picked off that, so this can all be thrown away. You don't want to have little bits of foam lying around. So I'm going to throw that in with the rest of the garbage and set that off to the side. So now, turn this around and just lay this over top to get an idea of how it's going to fit. So we want to get it as square as possible. It's not going to overhang any parts of the screen. It's going to go just like that. Now, what you can do, grab your top shell and just kind of dry fit it into place. So it should fit nicely just like so. And then you're going to want to take note or make a little mark where these wires are. So I'm just going to use a pen and make a general mark there. And there. So we're going to lift the wires up. Oops. It is sticking, which we didn't really want. There we go. So we're going to lift that up, set that all aside, and now we're actually going to cut some very small, let's call it a little groove for those wires to fit under. So you're just using a utility knife. Where you made the marks, cut through this a little bit. You just want to create a little area for the wires to run through. There. So get the little bits of plastic out so that they're not going to float around on the inside there. And you once again can set that aside. So now grab your screen, and you're going to want to clean this off nicely. So grab yourself either some rubbing alcohol or a nice alcohol wipe. This is a wipe that came with a screen protector for a cell phone. They work great for this purpose. And you're just going to wipe the screen down. You want to get rid of any fingerprints, dust, and streaks. They will show up through the front light if you leave them on. So you're going to get that as clean as possible. Try and get as much off as you can. You can wipe down the actual lens of the display later, but you want to do that for sure first. Let's zoom in. Try and keep this ribbon connector out of the way there. There we go. So that's pretty good. I'm going to clean this out a little bit just to make sure that there's no stuff on the inside, but I may have to come back to that. So now, what you're going to do is take your Loca. This stuff, it's highly recommended with this installation. You may have to buy it. It's a little bit extra. This cost me about $7, but it's good for about 5 installs. So if I were to buy some more Frontlight kits, if I like how this is, I can use it multiple times. Now they recommend putting an X on the screen. It flows pretty easily, but that's okay. putting an X on the screen, and that helps to make sure that you're not going to have air bubbles trapped inside. So now take your display, and remember, red dot on the top is on the left side, red wire is also on the left side. I'm going to let this settle out here a bit. Remove the back adhesive, and slowly put the display into place, making sure that those wires don't get caught up in this. So you lay it down, you're wanting to lay it down along one side. So this side I'm going to do the bottom. Lay it there and let gravity pull it down into place. You see how there's a distinct line towards the top? That's the line where the Loca is making contact with the screen. So you're just slowly and gently going to let it sit into place where it needs to be. And whenever you're holding this, try not to put too much pressure on the back of the screen. It is a LCD display, so if you crack the back side of the display, you're going to basically ruin this whole thing, which you don't want to do. So we're going to let this settle down, and now that it's in place, it has to cure. So there's a couple ways to do that. You can use a UV light, or you can use something a little stronger, such as the sun. I'm going to opt for the sun. So we're going to bring this out into the daylight, and we're going to let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes. That's all it really needs to cure, so I'm going to have that sitting outside. All right, so I brought this in from outside. It definitely took a little bit longer than originally anticipated. They said it should take 10 to 15 minutes, and it, I'm going to say, took a solid 45 to properly bond on to here. But it looks good, it's not moving, so it's time to install this. So what you're going to do to start out with, you put it face down in the hole that the screen came out of. So you should have the red wire on the right, the black wire on the left, and just make sure it's sitting in there flushly. Get the wires in their channels that you've recently cut out, and then we're going to put the board back in. So find your board, there it is, and we'll get that ready to go. What you want to do with these wires is route them around these posts here so they're not interfering with any of the buttons, and they should be coming out the bottom side right there. Then there we go, grab your board and lay it in place where it should be. So what you're going to do here is take your two wires, you're going to maneuver this speaker here so that it fits into the spot it's supposed to. Getting this all back in the way it's supposed to is sometimes a bit of a pain, but you can do it. There we go. Get the speaker in first. Once that's sitting flush, usually it's easier to get the rest of it. There we go. So we need to make sure that the two wires are poking out the bottom and they're not interfering with the operation of any of the buttons.
Still just not quite right. Now, one thing you could do as well is use some hot glue to tack these into place, which I'm not going to do. I don't really have any handy. So, again, just kind of fight with this a bit. There. Holding that gently into place, make sure all these are sitting nicely.
Line up the bottom, grab this display ribbon, pull it out from the top, and there we go. And then these two wires should come out from the bottom there. So give it a firm press into place, and you want to flip it over gently, make sure that the buttons seem like they're reacting properly. There we go. So hook up the display, push down on those connectors. Now we're going to have to solder these wires in the bottom into place. Actually, something just moved and this is not sitting nicely. There we go. Actually, what I'm going to do now is put these screws into place just so that everything remains nice and where it belongs. There we go. So all of those feel like they should. So we'll flip it over and get it ready to begin soldering. So my soldering iron is being heated up right now. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you where we're going to attach these wires. So I'm going to zoom into the bottom here. So what's going to happen, the black wire is going to attach to the bottom pin on the left and the red wire to the top pin on the right. So to do so, grab your solder, grab your iron, and we're going to firstly clean the iron, tin it a little bit, and add some solder to the pin. And same thing with this one. There we go. Then all you simply do, grab your wire, heat up the solder, embed the wire, remove the iron, and that's in place. So you can actually kind of loop it up over this capacitor here. And same thing with the other one. Heat up the pin, embed the wire, let go, and that's hooked up. Doesn't take very long to dry at all. So we're going to put that aside. We're going to put the back on, and we're going to test it, make sure that it works. I guess what you could do is put in that power switch before you turn it on. So power switch should go just in place there. There we go. Let's zoom out. Put the back cover on. It should sit nicely. Grab your batteries. Grab your game. And the moment of truth. And that is so much better already. As you can see, I can see everything very clearly. You have a nice backlight. I mean, it's not perfect. It's not going to be a substitute for just a better display. But I mean, you're playing in the dark finally. So there we go. Let's play some Pokemon. Yeah, let's go battle this guy. It seems I've already done that. Oh well. But as you can see, very, very different display here. You can finally use this in low light situations. I'm going to dim the lights for you to show you how it looks in the dark. So lights are out, but Game Boy is on. There, look at that. I bet you never thought you'd be playing your Game Boy Color in the dark. So last thing you're going to need to do to finish this off is just reinstall those case screws, and then you're completely done. And that's, in a nutshell, how to add a Frontlight to a Game Boy Color. It's a fairly easy process, and it really makes it a much better system. So thanks a lot for watching the video. That's all I've got for you today. Hopefully you found it informative and you're able to do it yourself. It's not a difficult process. I definitely highly recommend ordering one. Like I said, I got it from Handheld Legend and they sent me everything I need. So that's it for today. Thanks a lot for watching. Be sure to leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think, and we'll see you next video.